Hello, everyone. Welcome to Straight Shooters, where you will get straight talk concerning our Christian walk, with host Earl Moats and me, Doreen Davis. And this morning, we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to do something different. We've decided we're going to show the more human side of ourselves today. We're going to talk about our gripes and our sick and tireds. We thought we would, we're all human. We all get sick and tired of certain things, and so we're going to talk about those things. We're going to share with you our gripes and our sick and tireds this morning, or today. Hit it, Earl. Hit it and get it.
Well, there's a lot of, I guess, a great deal of apprehension going on about what's going on in our country, for one thing, and we're possibly looks like we're running breakneck speed at trying to destroy the society of the United States. And I was telling Doreen earlier this morning over coffee that I praise God today that I live in this little utopian city called Cleveland, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, it's not too much utopia to me. Well, you should be in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Baltimore, Chicago, and some places like that where you can't walk down the street. Mm-hmm. Now, I could let Doreen, she's a young lady, I could let her leave today and walk down the streets of Cleveland alone, and there would be nobody in this town would bother her in any such a way. Now, when she goes to Walmart, that's another story. But I'm talking about, because everybody gets hit on at Walmart. I'm talking about not necessarily hit on, but there's always somebody wanting something at Walmart, or to show you something or sell you something or do something. Mm-hmm. And we're running at breakneck speed right now toward the end of time, toward a time when things are just going to get out of hand. And we all look at things, and we try to decipher what situation we're in and what in our own situations. And as Doreen says, we look at things sometimes and we get pretty fed up. Mm-hmm. We look at things on TV, we look at things going on even in our own town. We have things that we disagree with, and everybody else does too. But the main thing is that we keep our heads screwed on our shoulders the right way and look toward the right thing. But there are things that just distract us and mm-hmm. cause us to look this way and that way.
Look through our flesh. We get into the flesh.
Yeah, like the old horse put the blinders on, walk down the street, and you don't see anything. Uh-huh. But we do see those things.
And Earl and I, we don't always agree on everything, do we, Earl? But you know what? We understand each other's sides. I understand where he's coming from, and he understands where I'm coming from.
Wouldn't be natural if we did.
No.
Wouldn't be much fun if we agreed on everything.
No.
It might get a little boring. Yeah. But my wife and I don't agree on everything. She agrees on very little that I have. But one of my major things that really bother me, and I'm going to let Doreen talk in a minute, but one of the main things that bother me today more than anything else is I look around at my fellow Americans, the people that I grew up with, and the people that are my generation of people, and the people behind me that I don't recognize, mm-hmm. because I grew up in a pretty simple life. I mean, it was simple. I mean, we were so far out in the country that we had to put clothes on the chickens to keep the hoot owls away mm-hmm. from them, But I said we piped in sunshine because we had to drink cod liver oil. But
what was that?
Well, cod liver oil is supposed to be...
Oh, cod liver oil. Okay.
Yeah, and it's supposed to take the place of sunshine. But we piped in sunshine. But we grew up simple. And when I graduated from grammar school, I graduated from a small class. And I moved into high school into a very, very much larger group of people. And that I knew maybe two of them, you know what I'm saying? So, but what I see more than anything else that bothers me is that we're losing a generation of people. We have people in the streets today that they don't have a clue about life. They don't. They're pampered, spoon-fed, gold spoon children that their parents have spent thousands and thousands of dollars to send them to school, and they go up there and party for a while, and then the first thing comes along, they join it and begin to walk in the streets. When did you ever think that you would see that a group of people protesting could shut down the Brooklyn Bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a solution to what's going on in our country right now. And you may not like what I say, but his name is Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Because we did not have this 4 years ago.
No.
3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have this. And we wouldn't be having it today. Now, you may not agree with him. He's crazily outspoken. He says things that I wish he'd shut his mouth. But as far as taking care of business.
As far as leadership, yes.
Yeah, TCB, he took care of business.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be the solution. He'd shut down the border tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He'd get the people out of the streets. He'd end that war over there.
He knows how to wine and dine.
Yeah.
He knows how to get what is needed because he cares. We have one in the house. He could care less. They want destruction, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Earl.
That's okay. Well, we could be looking at a dismal situation and call it a losing thing, but there is hope, and I have extreme hope because I am a born-again child of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that God has my best interest at heart,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, if I look at this, I'm going to get discouraged. If I look at this and all day long, I'll tell my wife, let's turn the news off.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because all they do is bring on the same old dead people to talk to. Mm-hmm. And they'll talk about what the solution is, but nobody's doing anything about it.
No.
Israel is fighting a war.
Mm-hmm.
And I just listened to something that Doreen made a minute ago, and it was beautiful. On her phone, she was making a, I guess she's going to post this, but
recording.
And it is recording, and it was great. It was like astounding. It was profound. And I say that because she's a prolific writer. She's this girl.
Oh, well, thank you.
She's got a mind like a steel trap when it comes to writing stuff. But there is hope, and it's in the cross. It's in Jesus Christ and Him crucified. It's in God. Israel, they're going to win this war. Mm-hmm. They're going to annihilate the enemy.
Right.
They have all of the things to do it with, so they're going to do that. Go ahead, Doreen. I'll let you talk.
Okay. Well, my gripe and my sick and tireds is I don't like it when people use God's name to get something. When they want nothing to do with Him. And they stand out on the corner for you to hand them some money. When Walmart is hiring, the restaurant behind them is hiring. People, all these companies are hiring. Mm-hmm. But they'd rather stand on the corner with the sign, God bless you. That's a manipulation. And what makes me mad is people give into that. They use that. They want you to think they're a Christian. They want you to think, no, they're not. They don't want anything to do with God. They just want your money. They think they're entitled for you to hand them money instead of them going out and working for it. Mm-hmm. And then some of them, they make pretty good, $200 a day. I mean, that's pretty sad and pathetic. And we're supposed to be careful on who we give our money to. And there are people who are living for the Lord that need that money. But you're going to go and hand it to somebody who doesn't want anything to do with God. Do you think you're giving them money is going to turn them to God? Has it done it so far? No. No, it hasn't. And you know what else? I get tired of going into the store and somebody yelling at me to come and look at something to buy. Now, if I'm interested in something, I'm going to go out of my way on my own, gladly go and look at it. And if I'm interested in it, I'll buy it. but I don't want my piece, and I'm on a mission to go get something. I don't want to get sidetracked, and I don't want to have a false guilt come over me because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I want to go into the store in peace, and I want to come out of the store in peace. And they're not supposed to be doing that at Walmart. They're not supposed to be saying, hey, come over here. Do you want to? They're not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to sit there quietly and let you come over on your own, but they're not doing it. So that's another one of my pet peeves. Before I go on, Earl, add yours. Not my pet peeves.
One of mine also.
Yeah.
You used a word there that just frosts me good. It's called entitlement.
Entitlement.
Let me tell you something. I don't even know why I would even think that I'm entitled to anything except what I did for myself. Mm-hmm. Now, I told Doreen again this other day, they call my Social Security an entitlement. I got news for the federal government. That's my money.
That's right. You worked for that.
I worked for that. I paid Social Security tax into that fund, and those dopes were supposed to saved it for me. And what they did, they borrowed it out and gave it away in welfare programs. Mm-hmm. And it started with President Reagan. It's been going on ever since, that they decimated the Social Security fund. We had vaults full of money over in Virginia. And they went in there and took those things out and left an IOU note in there from the federal government. Well, that's worth nothing because the federal government don't have any money.
No, and they lie anyway.
Yeah, and they're printing money today to give to put into this green fund. $6 billion. They're printing it up, and guess what? They're borrowing that money. That's not a penny of that money that they've got. They're borrowing it, and they're going to sell the notes to people like China and people like this to buy up those notes at high interest to give it away. Now, they're not giving me anything. I put this money in there. Had they saved my money and they did what they're supposed to do with my money, I'd be drawing 3 times what I'm drawing right now. Because if they just put that money at interest and they'd invested that money, we would have all been drawing more Social Security than what we're drawing.
Yeah.
And right now we're being paid. Our Social Security is being paid out of the money that's coming in on a monthly basis because there is no money in the Social Security Trust Fund. They keep talking about this.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich said they balanced the budget. Well, they did. But what they did, they counted the money that's supposed to be in the Social Security Fund against assets, and there ain't no money in it. So
say that again. The way you just said it.
Well, there's not any money in the Social Security Fund. And so if you take all those billions that's supposed to be in there and put it into the budget, it's just like that if I wrote something down over here as an asset and I don't have it.
Yeah.
When I went down to the bank to get a loan, I put that down as an asset. I don't have that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is not an entitlement. That's what I'm saying. That's why I hate that word so much, because people, and I told Doreen this joke this morning too also. We're joking this morning, but I told her this joke about these hippies back in the 60s. They were laying in the bed, and the guy said, we need to go downtown. We've got to go down to the food stamp office, get signed up for our food stamps for next month. Mm-hmm. We've got to go over and get our free education for our children. We got to get the free medical care, and we got to get the housing supplement for our rent supplement, and then we're going to go downtown and protest the establishment.
Yeah. What about that?
So the establishment was the one that gave them the money, right? So they're going to protest against that. So that's the mentality that people will say, well, this is government money. I don't mind spending it. The government don't have any money.
Yeah.
It's your money. It's what you're sending in there every month. It's not, the government has no money. They don't have an investment one.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Get your next one.
Okay. No, it just left me. Let me think.
Yep.
Okay. What was that? Well, I'll just skip to something else. Okay, I'll tell you what else that bothers me. people listening to other people instead of following their own leading and following their own heart. When you don't go with what you feel you've been shown by the Lord, and you start listening to others, no, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. You miss it. You're not, you miss it. And I think that, yeah, good can come out of it and everything. But at the same time, it prolongs it unnecessarily, I feel. And I will tell you this. This is my flesh. You know, when God has you waiting on something, you know, we all have to go through a waiting period for things, for our calling, for whatever. And then you think, and then you see this happening over here in this person's life and in these people's lives, and you're thinking, how come they don't have to wait so long? Why is it instant for them? Why do I have to wait so long? Sometimes the waiting can be overwhelming at times. It can feel abusive at times. And you just want to say, you know what, God? I've had moments where I've gotten mad. I've had moments where I say, you know what, God, just forget it. I just want to let go of this. Help me to let go of this so I can just move on and just forget about it. But then you can't because, you know, in your heart and in your soul, you don't have a choice, you know, because you want what God wants and you know outside of him it's not going to be any good. But at the same time, it's like, forget it, you know, and then you have questions, things that don't make sense. And you have questions of, you know, where if you could have helped in that area or helped in this area, and why have you, you know, it's in like, well, why, how come you couldn't include me on that? How come, Lord, you couldn't include me on that? How come you didn't want me to help with that? How come? Why? And I am telling you, I have moments of being frustrated. So frustrated and so mad. And yes, the Lord would say this to me. What have you gained through the waiting? What have you gotten to experience that most people don't? What have you in the areas that you have grown? Yes, I've grown. Yes, I've gained. And yes, in my soul, I have experienced things that that very few get to experience. I have felt things in my soul that very few get to experience. Yes, I have. But at the same time, it's been frustrating at times. But at the same time, when he reminds me of those experiences, because I've said, Lord, if this is not of you, I don't want it. If this is not of you, I want to let go of it. Mm-hmm. But he's reminded me, because of what he has shown me, what I have felt in my soul, what I continue to feel in my soul from him, is a reminder that it is of him.
May I comment on that?
Yes.
Don't push it.
Yes.
Don't push it. Because you can get in all kinds of, you can get the wrong thing done. Mm-hmm. You can be in a position that you think you're supposed to be, but that's not where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And the Bible says that patience comes with they that wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. Mm-hmm. Wait upon the Lord. Now you can take that two different ways, mm-hmm. but they shall renew their strength. Mm-hmm. Now sometimes you see in the Bible, you have instances all through the Bible where people got ahead of God.
That's the truth.
And the children of Israel said, God, we want a king. We want a king. We want a king. We want to be like everybody else. We don't want you for our king anymore. We want to be like other nations. We want to have a king. And God said, well, it isn't for you. But since you've troubled me so much, I'm going to let you have it.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, through the prophet, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. He's going to take your children. He's going to tax you. He's going to take your properties and your vineyards. He's going to put your kids in the army. He's going to accumulate wealth.
Yeah.
He's going to accumulate women. And you're going to see trouble. Like
Yeah.
you've never. Well, exactly the thing that he promised. God had a person out there.
Yeah.
He had David sitting out there. He had a person.
That's
but
right.
they got ahead of God. Abraham got ahead of God. He thought, God, you promised me a son. Well, he did.
Yeah.
He didn't say when you was going to get
Exactly.
it.
That's exactly right.
And so Abraham got ahead of him, and he wound up causing put the world in conflict by having a son, his son, out of a bondwoman.
That's right.
We talked about that a little bit last week. But a bondwoman, which he was not supposed to do. So that son turned out to be Ishmael.
So that's right. And so through this,
Gotta wait.
yeah, through the wait, and I have gained so much strength, and I got to tell you this, through the waiting, I have gained myself. I've got Doreen back. And God has his appointed time for everything. On his appointed time, yes, the waiting can seem forever, it can feel abusive, and it can feel mean, but the waiting on God's time is the best.
It is.
Because, see, he knows what's best, and it's going to be a whole lot better than it was if you got it, when the door opened on your timing. God has the best in store for everybody. That it doesn't just affect you, but it affects everyone around you and in your circle. So, but like Earl said, when we get ahead of ourselves, this is why I have, when I've had my moments of getting upset, I would go to the Lord. I wouldn't dare step outside of that. I wouldn't dare go to anybody else to try to make this happen or that happen. No, it was just me and God, sharing my heart and my frustrations with him. And that's what we're supposed to do. But when we go out of our way and we push things, because there are people who are doing that today. There are people in ministry trying to push, and they're wearing their own people out. Because they want it now. Well, they don't understand. Today is not the day. Tomorrow is, but not today. You just have to be patient and go with what you've got, but don't push it. Don't push it. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful and I'm thankful for the wait. I'm thankful for what is taking place through this wait. I'm thankful for the doors that have opened through the waiting. I'm thankful that Earl and I get to do this podcast through the waiting and what God is going to do with this.
Yeah.
And how it's perfecting and training, for what he has for us. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. I was, back some time ago, I had some things I wanted to do, and I was asking the Lord for a certain amount of money. And I put a specific amount of money. I said, I want $50,000. Well, I didn't have no $50,000 to do what I wanted to do. And I prayed and I prayed and I believed, and I went down and bought a lottery ticket and all those things, but I didn't win no money. Okay. And you can't win without a ticket. Don't remember that.
That's right.
But I got tired of, I gave up. I gave up the idea, gave it up. And 20 years passed. 20 years passed. I went to the hospital, had some surgery done. It didn't go good.
This is a
back
good
in the
testimony.
hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Got very sick. My wife she was at home at that time waiting on me to get out of the hospital. People was helping take care of her. And we get a telephone call from an insurance company. And I worked for several insurance companies over my life. And they said, do you know anybody named a certain name? And she said, yes. That's my son's father's name. They said, no, that's not the name we're looking for. And they told her the name. She said, oh, yes, I know who that is. They said, well, you tell your husband when he gets out of the hospital to call us. But we have a couple of questions we want to ask you. So they asked her a couple of questions, and that was the end of it. So when I got home, there was a note laying there. They'd sent me a letter saying they needed to talk to me. So I get on the phone with this insurance company, and they say, we have some money up here that's yours. You had a policy on this person 20 years ago. They didn't say 20, but that's how long it had been. Mm-hmm. 20 years. And they said, they didn't tell me the amount. They just said, we have everything we need. We'll be sending you a check. I thought, okay, $1,000, $2,000. I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a letter 3 days later. And the check was $50,300.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
And I fell over in the floor. And after I come back to...
And he shared the story with me, of course, right after.
And I said, this cannot be right. This can't be right. They said, well, it is right. This policy was in force when this person died, even though the policy had lapsed, but it had cash value in it. So the policy carried itself for 20 years. No, it didn't carry itself for 20 years. That person died right after I quit paying the premium. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I thought, I was going to argue with them. I said, this is not right. I don't deserve this. Mm-hmm. They said, yes, you do. So we'll send you a check. And 3 days later, I get the check.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I just completely forgot all about it. And it was so odd that it was exactly the amount of money that I'd been asking God to give me. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying, don't give up.
Yes.
Because God's planning, God's timing is not like yours.
That's right.
And Doreen knows me. I'm a Speedy Gonzales. I want it done yesterday and immediately.
It would be nice.
So
But it ain't going to happen.
So I'm not very good at waiting.
Yeah.
Not very good at patience. But sometimes, like she said, I'm just going to forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Well, I did. I just forgot about it. I mean, 20 years later.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Yeah. And let's see. And then I'm going to share this one story. I feel this just come to me, and this is for someone who I feel is wanting to have a baby. And then we've got to end it because we've kind of gone a couple minutes over time. Okay. So when I was married, I had 2 miscarriages. And I just thought, well, you know what, Lord? You know, if it's not of you for me to have a baby, I'm okay. I'm just going to let this go. And, you know, we've been looking for a house. And after my second miscarriage, and my mom came down and she went with us. And I remember being kind of out of it because of, you know, just having a D&C and just being lightheaded, not feeling very well. And so I thought, you know what, Lord? I'm okay not having a child. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to let this go and I'm going to forget about it. And I'm just turning this over to you. That's the key. Just like Earl said, just going to forget about it. I'm happy where I'm at and I'm okay. And and I'd already been married for, I don't know, I guess 14 years, I guess, maybe more. I don't know. So anyway,
Be careful now.
yeah. Well, that doesn't reveal anything else. So in my second miscarriage, the doctor said usually women that do miscarry, it's because the body is preparing for pregnancy. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It's preparing for pregnancy. So remember that key, ladies. So anyway, I let it go, forgot about it. We found the house that we liked, that I just fell in love with, which I still live in today. And it was at the end of December. And so we moved into it at the end of December. And then that spring, I thought we had a separate car garage. And I thought, I'm going to go down there and explore and see what's in there. And I haven't been in there. So I thought, well, I'll go down there and explore. And said, you remember that Christmas movie, Miracle on 34th Street? And how in the end, Santa left his cane in the corner? And that revealed that Santa left that house for them. That was their Christmas present, that little girl's Christmas present that she'd been asking for, and, a family. Well, anyway, to have a dad. So anyway, I went down there, and what was in the corner? Now, the couple that we bought this house from had a teenager in high school, and it was just them two. They were moving back to Texas. When I went down in there, guess what I saw in the corner? I saw a baby changing table. And right then and there, I knew that was for me. And that spring, this was in March that I went down there. And in May, I was expecting. And I knew it was going to be a little girl. And so with that said, it's all God's timing. Trust in Him. He will give you the desires of your heart. Don't give up. Just let it go. And just things are going to happen and take place. The desires of your heart are going to take place. Earl had a desire for $50,000, and guess what? Years later, he got it. I had the desire to have a baby. And this, I had my kids later in life, and I'm very healthy. I'm very healthy, and I thank the Lord for that. So trust in the Lord, and don't get ahead of yourselves. And yes, you can have your moments to gripe. You can have your moments of being human and getting in the flesh, because God knows I do. And I can tell you right now, I do. I do. I'm not perfect, although I try to be, but that's just not going to happen. So trust in the Lord and wait for His timing, because His timing is going to be the best for you. And on those other issues that we've talked about, our gripes, it's okay to be human. It's okay as long as you don't stay there, as long as you don't keep thinking about it. Once you get it out, let it go and move on. Because if you don't let it go, then you're going to turn into something you shouldn't be. It's going to, like I've been watching the news almost every day here lately. And I thought, now this is starting to drag me down a little bit. It's starting to take my hope away from me. It's starting to take my peace. I got to pull away from it now. And when your peace starts to go and your hope starts to go, and then that's when you start thinking in the flesh and you start forgetting about the things of God and how He has it planned for you and everything. And you think, oh, Lord, this is not going to happen now because we got this war coming. We've got a World War III that could take place. Here's another thing that's going to happen and get in the way. No, it's time to pull away from anything that's going to take your peace and your eyes off of God. Amen?
Amen.
So I'm going to leave it there. And so you all, thank you. I'll get the word out here in a second because, I pause a lot. What were you going to say, Earl? I saw it.
I just said that's the way it is. November the 14th, 2023.
Oh, Lord. Was there something hidden in that? I hope not. As a reminder, thank you very much. So, thank you all for listening in. We hope what we shared is beneficial and inspiring and will encourage you to just keep walking in the light, keep your eyes focused on the Lord, keep your eyes focused on what needs to be focused on. And yes, you can have your moments of being human, just don't stay there. We want to give a special thanks to Amy Mann of Christian Television Network. And if you enjoyed our podcast, we would love to hear from you. And be sure to come back next week for our next discussion. Until then, this is Straight Shooters, where you will get straight talk concerning our Christian walk. God bless you. Have an awesome weekend, and we love you.